I don't think we can see you, Dennis. I don't know.
I, yep, I'm sharing my camera. Can everybody see me?
Now,
Yes.
yeah, now
Yes,
we can. Yeah.
you can hear me? Everybody,
Yes.
okay. All right, great. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for coming out on, I know fairly short notice, but we figured it's better to get this information out now than wait. And again, this presentation is being recorded. And again, if you have questions, type them into the chat, and we'll make sure that those answers to those questions get posted on the contract administration web portal as well. This will not be a real long meeting because major contract revisions are only made every 2 years, and so this is an odd year. It's the off year, so no major revisions. I think the major insurance revision was just with applies to those agencies who do non-emergency medical transportation, which probably doesn't apply to most of you. So with that, I think I'll just let the rest of our staff introduce themselves, starting with Rachna.
Hi, I'm Rachna and I'm the contract manager, DHHS.
I'm Diane Krager, Quality Assurance Coordinator.
I'm Kevin Kelly. I'm the Contract Services Coordinator, primarily working with CYFS contracts.
Good afternoon. My name is David Chong, Contract Service Coordinator for Housing Services.
Good afternoon, Liz Williams, Contract Service Coordinator, primarily working with Birth to 3 and ADS.
I'm Cindy Carlos, Office Support Assistant for Contract Administration.
Hi, my name is Sarah Torres, and I'm the Lead Contract Services Coordinator for Behavioral Health Services.
Hi, this is Manish Kalia. I'm a consultant with DHHS.
Linda was there too?
Yeah, I can go now. Hello, my name is Linda, Quality Specialist.
Okay. Well, thank you and welcome once again. Like Dennis said, this is a short meeting, but we thought I think it's apt that, as we end this year and we begin the new one, that we just, go over a few things which make this process a bit smoother for everyone and, make things clearer. So Dennis, are you planning to start the presentation or?
Sure, I'd be happy to do that.
Sure.
So who's going to move through the slides?
I can. If you want to just close the presentation on your side.
Close mine?
Yes.
Okay. I will do that. Okay.
Just 1 second. Let me just start sharing. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So again, this is 2022 year-end considerations, wrapping up the year 2022, 2023 purchase of service contract requirements, mainly around getting your contract executed and in place so you can be paid next year. And then Diane is going to speak for a bit about a provider and paneling, also called the drop process. Some of the survey results we got regarding this drop process and the next steps, and then a few other important considerations. And also at the tail end of this presentation, we have email addresses and phone numbers and contact information for all of the subject matter experts and important stakeholders involved in today's presentation. So with that, we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, so the first thing we wanted to talk about, and this hasn't really changed too much from other years, is the final invoice submission. And when we say invoice submission, we are referring to the revenue and expense reports of your purchase of service contracts. We are not referring to your billings or your invoice submissions for the fee-for-service networks, which are really paid through quite a different accounting system. So this does not apply to the fee-for-service invoices for the CARS network, which is paid through Avatar, and of course the wraparound fee-for-services, which are paid through Synthesis. All final invoices are due on Friday, January 20th. Any invoices submitted after that must apply to our fiscal department for an extension to submit their invoice. All of the DHHS invoices for purchase of service contracts, including the BHS purchase service contracts, go to the email inbox, DHHS accounting. The one exception is the wraparound purchase of services invoices, and I put that email box up on the screen too, is wrapfinance@milwaukeecountywi.gov. That's just the wraparound and children's community mental health purchase of service contracts. All other purchase of service and professional services invoices go to that DHHS accounting. Any requests for extensions should be directed to our accounting department at DHHS accounting at milwaukeecountywi.gov, and the subject line should have the word final invoice extension in the subject line. Performance tools, also known as performance outcome submissions for all departments except BHS. For the year ending December 31st, 2022, are due Monday, January 30th. That is the submission tools with the data, and then the invoices are due the 14th of the month following the month of final of the submission of the performance data. So any questions up to this point? No? Okay. So if not, let's move on to the next slide. Evaluation reports. Evaluation reports are the logic model and then the outcomes achieved for all divisions, service areas, except for BHS. It is not necessary to submit your logic model and evaluation report for BHS programs because, again, that data is housed within Avatar or within Synthesis. So we're talking about the Housing Division, Aging and Disability Services Division, and the Children, Youth, and Family Services Division. Those performance reports and evaluation reports and logic models are due on the second Friday of each May. So this year, next year, that will be May 12th. And those are submitted to DHHSCA at milwaukeecountywi.gov. The exception is birth to 3 reports. Those are due every 6 months in January and July for the previous 6-month period. They do, however, go to the same email address. So these reports are due in addition to the contract performance measure collection tools and reports submitted on their respective due dates. Next slide. Audit confirmations. This continues to be an area of some confusion yet, or some different processes that are being used. All audit confirmations, which are the confirmations that you send out on behalf of your independent auditors, independent CPA firms, are sent to DHHS audit at MilwaukeeCountyWI.gov. This is critical because I've seen these audit confirmations go to many different email addresses. Some of them come to me, and then some of them come to other people on my staff. Some of them go to BHS. Only send them to DHHS audit at Milwaukee County WI. Those are going to Wendy Woodruff, who is the accounting manager for the entire department, DHHS and behavioral health services. If they don't go to this address, there's a good chance that your audit confirmation is going to be held up, that the right person, it hasn't been passed on to the right person by Wendy to fill your audit confirmation out. And as a result, your audit ends up not being able to be completed on time, and your audit has to be submitted late. So this is the only address to which audit confirmation should be sent. Next slide. Unless indicated otherwise, such as you have a different fiscal year than a calendar year, all annual independent audit reports are due on June 30th of 2023 for the 2022 contract year. We ask that audit extensions or audit waivers be requested at least 30 days before the due date. So since the audits are due on June 30th, we ask that all of your audit extensions requests be in by May 31st for calendar year audit reports. If audits are late, well, first let me say you may request an extension. However, with the extension, we do request that you indicate the date that by which we can expect the extension. In no event can the audit's due date be extended beyond September 30th of 2023. Anything after September 30th is, or anything without a extension request is officially considered late. And late submissions, including audit reports and other required submissions, are in part used to score your RFP proposals in response to a request for proposal, and may negatively affect your RFP proposal score. It also may result in liquidated damages of $1,500. We are assessed different types of penalties by our auditors or our funders, and September 30th is a hard and fast deadline for federal audits for those agencies that are reporting on a calendar year. The threshold requiring an audit, again, is a state threshold, and the state has set that threshold by statute at $100,000. That was increased about 5 or 6 years ago. Anything above $100,000 requires a waiver request be submitted to DHHS CA at MilwaukeeCounty.gov, MilwaukeeCountyWI.gov. You may download the forms from the Contract Administration Provider Portal at the address given here on my screen, ending in Provider Portal. I did want to say that normally when you submit a waiver request, we require a quote from a CPA firm so that we can assess what type of a fiscal burden the audit may be imposing upon your agency. And we also request that you provide a quote with the submission. Okay, any questions about the audit waiver or the extension request? Should be submitted
do
to
have a
Sumitish
couple.
Kalia. We have a question, go ahead.
Yeah, we do have a couple in the chat. One says previously the instructions indicated to send the audit via email to DHHS audit and a hard copy to Dennis. Do we no longer need to send a hard copy?
Yes, I think there's the next slide may cover that, but yes, we need both a hard copy and a soft copy. Sumitish is on the line, and I think the audits go to DHHS CA.
CA.
Right.
Yep. That is, it's on the
Not-
slide now.
Next slide.
Yeah,
What-
this
what-
slide
It's there.
itself says that.
Oh,
Mhm.
it does. Soft copy to DHHS CA.
And I think a
So-
part of the question which was talking about DHHS audit, that's a
Mhm.
common mistake, which is, done always. You do not send your audits to DHHS audit. That email ID is for requesting audit confirmation. So, we have to remember, for getting audit confirmations, you get it from DHHS audit, and like our accounting department is can get it. But when you're submitting the soft copy of the audit, that goes to DHHS CA. And we have a kind of a quick sheet in the end to reference, and we normally attach it to our letter too. So please reference that as to where what goes.
Hey, thank you for that clarification, Rachna. And Sumitish, anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think you should wait a little bit before you apply for the waiver, because our own compilation happens sometime in the first week of April when we know how much money has been paid out. So we will, and at that time, what we'll do is we send out letters to everyone who has not submitted audit or waivers. We send out a specific letter. All agencies who have made 100,000 or more. So I think just wait for that before you submit your audit waiver, because you have up to June 1st to submit those. So because once we have our data, then only we can adjudicate and send you a response. For extensions, you can apply whenever you want, but closer to the end date probably will be better, because that way you will know what will be the date your auditor will be finishing up. Otherwise, you'll be just filing for an extension with no end date. And also with the extension and all, we need um, uh, internally generated financial statements of your from your system or whatever accounting software you're using with that, and hopefully with either a letter, engagement letter, or if not available, then at least that statement will help us. But we can provide you with the agency who do audits for Milwaukee County. We just keep a list on or the auditor which submit audits, and we can share with them if any new agency comes up with like, okay, who audits it? Because if you are a new agency and you are not subject to an audit, sometime you run into an issue because your regular accountant may not be able to do that audit. So if you have any issue like that, DHHS send an email to that, and then we'll share a list. The Cindy can share a list with you with the auditor who has been doing this audit for many years, and they are well versed with it. So they are, and they do for a lot of agencies. So they come cheap because they are doing it. So it's make it make your life easier, because then you don't have to deal with any issues and all. Otherwise, new auditor, we usually see that they have a lot of questions, and some of those are they end up not doing it, and the person asks for extension, and then you go back to the regular group.
Yeah, the only thing I might add is when you engage your auditor, it would be good to give them a copy of the DHHS audit requirement policy and procedure, and that can be found on the contract administration portal. Provider portal. So any other questions about audits, audit requirements? Sumiti's mentioned the internally generated financial statements. Hopefully everybody on the call today has some sort of accounting software that generates a financial statement. We realize that there may be adjustments to your financial statement once the audit begins, but we ask that you at least give us what you have up to that point. And then, of course, we do waive audits. Frequently, if you have earned over $100,000 in combined Milwaukee County revenue, we will entertain a request for a program-only audit, which means that in that event, your entire agency does not need to be audited, just the program that is under contract. And those audits generally are considerably less costly to you as a provider agency. So that's well worth looking into. And Sumanish can answer any questions you or your auditor might have with regard to what is required in a program audit. So we are trying to save you, spare you any unnecessary expense if possible. Okay, and next slide, please.
Cindy, was there any other question or are we done with the questions over there?
There was a question that said, will the presentation be sent out after the meeting?
Yes.
Will
it will be put on the portal
sent?
too.
It'll
Yeah.
be put, will it be sent?
Yeah, we can email that, just
Oh,
like how we
okay.
send the invites, we will send their presentation too.
Great.
But we'll post it on our portal as well.
Great.
And then we also have, can you please email me the audit email address so that I can forward to the auditor? And I put both of the email addresses on the chat. One is for the audit confirmations and one is for the soft copy.
And then I think the third link that they need for their auditors is the contract administration provider portal. That is where the audit policy is found.
And maybe after the presentation, we can just quickly show the portal,
Okay.
I think
Alrighty.
that might be helpful. Yep.
Sure. Okay. Okay, Rachna, were you gonna deal with this next section?
Yep, means like.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay,
I'm
go ahead.
Okay. So now coming on to the next year contract requirements, I think all of you have already received the final invoice letter, and you might also be receiving, like, we have already issued an RFI to which most of you have responded. If you have not responding, our contract services coordinators will be in touch with you, or they might have already been in touch with you. So please watch for those emails and respond to those requests. And if we want the contracts to be in place in the timely fashion, we need your help. It's a partnership, so please submit whatever is being asked in a timely fashion. And we are looking at the deadline of that's our aim, to get all the documents from all of you by December 14th. So look for the emails from the CSCs or from DHHS mailbox requesting the documents. They will email you the contracts so once we have all the contracts, the normal process is that they will draft the documents and then they will send you those documents for review. And once we have everything in place, including the insurance and, all the required pieces for the contract, we put the contracts in for electronic signatures via DocuSign. So watch for the emails which are coming from DocuSign, and the contracts will not, again, needless to say, they cannot be executed until we have all the requested submission items. We will work with the agencies with pending or audit issues that may delay contract execution. So again, please make sure that everything is being done and there's nothing pending on your side. And no payment can be released until the contract is executed. So that's why it makes even more important that we get these things done and taken care of as soon as possible, so we can start the payment process for the next year. So constantly, I think there's some confusion or whatever about the RFP bids and notifications. E-Notify is the only official kind of, tool which the county uses, county-wide, and the notifications are sent out for them. So everyone, please sign up or make sure that everyone is signed up for E-Notify, and so that you get, and there will be multiple options over there to check, like for any other opportunities. So means make sure you check whatever options are available so you get the notifications, because it's not just coming from us. Any other department might be issuing RFPs or bids or notifications, so they come through e-notify. And we generally, from our side, in addition to what is being done by procurement, we put those as part of news releases. So again, this is telling that we will send out an interested parties letter. Again, that comes from e-notify. We don't individually mail them out. So only if you are registered on e-notify, and what you have to register for is the news releases for Milwaukee County Department of Health and Human Services. So this is the official means to register and receive notifications for DHHS, RFP, and other businesses. Again, you can use this link to log into and register for e-notify if you have not done that already. If you have done that, make sure you go back and check that you still have all the valid options. Other than that, all of you must be aware that recently even our RFPs or RFIs, they are all posted on Bonfire. And so you can go there, check periodically. You can just go to that link and keep on seeing like what are the open opportunities over there. So this is the Bonfire portal link. That's where you will have to actually eventually go in and submit your proposal if you are interested in bidding for an RFP. Then this is another site by Milwaukee County Procurement, which it gives in a kind of a, fashion, like there are blogs, so you can see all the different RFPs with a little more details that you can see in Bonfire portal. So that's it. So make sure that you periodically go and keep on checking these locations for any open business opportunities, not just with DHHS, but with Milwaukee County too. Now for the 2023 invoicing, as in the past, the purchase of service invoices are due no later than the 10th business day following the last day of the month of service, except for BER 3, where we have agreed upon a 15-day business days. This thing, like Dennis said, any delays which happen as part of these required submissions, those are tracked, and they are used for scoring whenever there's an RFP out there. So it's part of your administrative scoring. So make sure that, the submissions happen in time. And if there are any unforeseen circumstances or whatever, you should get extensions, send an email, get an extension, let us know in advance. Otherwise, it will be counted as a delay. And, that's how the scoring happens. So one part is the regular, revenue and expense billing report, and then the other part is the performances invoices. So just like we said, you submit the performance tools in 1 month, and once it is approved, you submit the invoice for the performance in the following month. And again, so that would generally be, so if you're submitting the performance tools in January, you would submit the performance invoice as part of the February. So that's how it happens. But generally it is like you could be on quarterly basis, or you could be on a semi-annual basis, or an annual basis. So that's how the performance invoices are submitted. The contractor shall submit within 30 days of the date of termination any final invoice or billings, and shall submit within 120 days all other financial performance and other reports required by the terms of the agreement. So again, it's really important that you pay attention to and submit any required reports. They could be financial reports, they could be performance reports, or any other reports as identified as part of the agreement or otherwise by the program. All these things are being tracked. I think over here, I will let Diane talk about the next one, one of the initiatives or a survey that we conducted in September. So Diane.
Great. Yeah, I do see a question. So Cindy, did you want to take the question first or should I proceed?
Yeah, we have a couple questions.
Sure.
One says, can my contact be added to the email listing?
Which email listing are we talking about?
Is it for
Who's
the
it?
RFI? It's from David Carlson.
So generally, what we are doing for tracking on our site for notifications is there's a item 26A, which is a site info form, and we pick up all the email addresses from that form, and that's whom we sent out any notifications to. So make sure you are listed over there, but if not, please email either your respective, CSC or someone else so they can add that to our, we obviously keep a track of the email IDs on our other site too. So email us separately so that we know like what role you have within that organization so we can add you and make sure that you get the notifications or any emails that we sent out. Anything else,
Yeah.
Cindy?
And then he actually responded. He said it was to receive the slide presentation.
Yes.
Mhm. Okay, and then we have another one said, how can I get added to the distribution list for RFIs, etc., which are specific to my organization? Thanks.
Again, the same answer as I gave before. You should be part of, the email list provided by your organization, or otherwise, if it has not been provided and it's any other role which we are not aware of, email us, specifically, and, we'll try to include you. But it's like really our guide is the item 26A, the site info form.
Yeah, and I did want to emphasize or clarify again that those email addresses on the site info form and the demographic and site info information, we do not actually keep an email list to which we send letters notifying of requests for proposals that have been released. That list is only maintained within the city's
E-Notify, yeah.
website, e-Notify. So do not confuse, for example, the contact person for the RFI, which is for your contract renewal, with the person who you would like to receive emails for RFPs. You
Yes.
would register that email address in e-Notify.
Yeah, that has to be done by you. Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, this is really important to understand where the difference is. So the email IDs you share with us at part of the site information form, that's basically used by us for requesting any documents from your site. We are not sending individual emails to people for RFP notifications. That's an automated process. You have to register to those sites. You have to look out for the notifications for the RFP. So because it's an equitable process, it's whatever is available to everyone is available to you. And, you're supposed to, e-Notify is being used by everyone, in fact, not just by Milwaukee County, just like Dennis said, it's being used by City of Milwaukee. So you have to go in, register yourself on e-Notify if you want to, get the notifications for that. And obviously we do postings on some newspapers too, but your best bet is e-Notify.
Thank you.
Diane.
Cindy, I see a few more questions. Do you want to take those?
Yep. So we have, is it possible to add another role to the item 26A for agencies where the submission work is centralized? That role right now appears nowhere on the 26A form.
See, again, this, I think I know where this is coming from. Why don't you email that suggestion and we'll think about it. Maybe that's something we can discuss offline, So please email us this suggestion, I would say. And we'll think about how to incorporate or what to do about it.
Then we have another, or a comment actually. In my experience, the e-Notify is difficult to navigate.
If you go on our provider portal, it does talk about, even has the instructions for how to go into eNotify, and register there. So please email me otherwise, or email DHHC, and we'll send you the instructions on how to log into. But I don't think it is really that difficult to, go in and register. So, but we can certainly help you do that. We can walk you through. It's like we are there to offer you technical assistance as needed. So, yeah, if you're finding any difficulties, please reach out to us, and someone will help you with that process.
All right, so if there was no other questions on the first part, the second part will be just a few quality assurance slides, and then we'll kind of bring it back to the contract side a little bit, and then we'll be opening up for any questions. So one of our DHS initiatives this past year has been on the impaneling process. And we reached out to you a few months ago and we asked you to complete a survey that was related to the provider eligibility and the staff roster process. So that was very helpful to us. So we want to thank you for your time in doing so. And so I know on the BHS side, you call it add drop, we call it the add delete. So, when you reach out to us and you ask questions and things of that sort, that sometimes initiates a process for change. And that was something that we've been hearing about. So we took some time and we still are. It's an active process currently to continue to improve what we're doing to work with you on the requirements. So we cannot change the requirement. The requirement stays the same, that all providers must be found eligible prior to the start of service, and that agencies are required to maintain a staff roster. So that's not changing. It's just how we conduct the process and how we work with the agencies. We're looking to streamline it to the best of our ability. So in asking some of the questions that we did on the survey, they were related to barriers that your agency faces related to the process, as well as mainly areas that you suggest for improvement. So before I kind of get into some of the action steps that we took, we saw the results and we continue to analyze those results. But some of the main common feedback that we got related to barriers were the time it takes to complete the add process and obtain approval. Applicants with a criminal history prolongs the hiring process, staff turnover, and unexpected changes in staffing. So those were the most common feedback we got related to barriers in the process. Most common feedback related to in terms of suggested areas of improvement were requesting more training from DHS and requests for clarity of the staff roster add delete form and process. So that takes me a little bit then to the actions that we've taken. We now have one policy across DHS and BHS for the staff roster add delete. So hopefully that should help, where BHS had a separate one as us, and now we've joined together to create one policy. So please visit our contract portal, which I'll be speaking of in a minute, but that's where the policies are. We have one form now, one similar form with BHS. So that is entitled the staff roster add delete. Again, for consistency's sake. We've conducted multiple trainings in September and October to demonstrate the use of the revised forms. We have a video of the training that we conducted and an FAQ document that is, we took a lot of time with it. All the questions that you asked, we created in organized fashion with sections of the document. So please visit the portal and use the FAQ to help answer questions. Who needs to be added to a staff roster? Who doesn't? Staff resume, things of that sort. What's a direct service provider? What's an indirect? All of those questions hopefully are there for you, or you can reach out to me at any time and I can answer questions related to the process. We also provide technical assistance as needed. So if you ever need help with the process, do not hesitate to send me an email and I can meet with you on Teams or over the phone, however it works for you. All right. As you know, with our final submissions, all agencies are in the process of submitting their final staff rosters for 2023, reflecting all proposed staff. That's direct service providers, indirect staff. Those definitions are in the policy for, it is by service area. So you'll list all of your staff that work in conjunction with that service area on one roster. All agencies are required to use the revised form to submit that staff roster as well as use it as an add delete form. So if you've not started doing so, I know the final submissions are coming through. Quality assurance does review the staff rosters prior to the new year. So we do need all rosters in. We do a reconciliation with our information. So sometimes you'll get an email back from us just to ensure that what we have in our records matches yours. And then we can move forward into the new year, and you'll use the staff roster as, again, the add delete, as it's now one document where you use the macro file to then create your add deletes. And the location of the form is our provider portal. All right, so this is the same information that we have shared, but again, we sometimes see some issues when you submit your staff roster. Please ensure that your CBC dates, your 3-part background check, is the current date that you have at your agency. So you don't want to simply just copy and paste your CBC dates from one year to the next. That does flag it for us. So if we see dates that are expired, that means it's greater than 4 years, we're going to reach out to you and we're going to ask you for the submission of the CBC. You are not required to submit a new CBC each time you run one, only for those that you see a new, let's say a change since you ran it previously. So if there is something new on the record, then you would submit it. Otherwise, you maintain it at your agency. But just make sure that the dates that are listed on your roster are current dates. And current means it's dated within the last 4 years. So please do that. Otherwise, we'll be asking you for the background checks because we have to ensure that the CBCs, according to Wisconsin caregiver law, are updated at least every 4 years. If not, again, the roster is not technically the add delete, meaning the request. So if you are putting someone on the staff roster for the first time and they have not yet been determined eligible, you want to go through the process of then marking it as new and then selecting, as you know, how to generate the Excel add delete form, then send it through to the CBC mailbox or to DHHS's impaneling mailbox to get the eligibility for that individual prior to the start of service. You can take me to the next slide, Rajna. All right, so
there I want to mention just about the delete. So it's not just addition. Whenever someone is leaving, that time also we need the information via the add delete form.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so on the form, as she was saying, that we use the coding N for new or C for change. So I won't go into all the detail, but there are 2 different codes. And again, you're using it as an add or a delete. But again, any change that occurs for current providers, you'll be sending the add delete form throughout the year. So please follow the instructions that are on the form, which is the staff roster add delete form, in creating add delete forms using the macro enabled file. The macro enabled file is your file that you uploaded from our portal to create your roster with the different tabs at the bottom. Instructions is the first tab, and then you'll see staff roster, and then send, and then you'll see a list with the program list. So the one that has all the different tabs is what we call our macro enabled file, or it lists it at the top, XLSM file. That is not the file that you're sending to us each time that you're sending the staff roster or add delete, but that is what you maintain at your agency as your master roster. And then you then go to the send document, as you know, and you have to click the send button to then generate the Excel file. You're just sending us the one Excel file when you're attaching it to an email. So please use that. If what I'm saying to you is new to you, again, until you start doing it, It may not make as much sense, but once you're doing it, if you have questions, please, I have, agencies that reach out on a regular basis. If it's new and they just want me to kind of walk it through, we're willing to do so. So don't hesitate to send me an email. The other piece of information that we received recently is that there's times that you may see a second file that's being generated when you click the send. It's been brought to our attention a couple times, and you may not even be seeing this, but I want to just bring it up, that when you click the send and it creates your Excel document, that is the one that you are going to, and you're hitting file save as. It's the screen that's open. It's the colored version of what the roster add delete looks like. There could be in the same folder another document that is what we'll just call it, like, it's unformatted. There's no color. It's a document that's sitting there. It's closed. It's there. We're not asking for that one. If you do send it to us, we'll just give you some instruction to, but again, save and send the file, the colored format that's open on your screen as your new file to send to us. If that's not clear to you, again, I'm here to explain it or walk you through the process. And then rename it as agency name, which is the first, and then service area, DHS add delete form, and then month, day, and year. So that's what you're sending over to us. You can take me to the next slide, please. All right, so all providers must be determined eligible by DHS prior to the start of service. So as I mentioned that, carefully review your add delete forms prior to submission for accuracy and completeness. If you just double check it and make sure that the fields all the way across, starting with that column that says send date sending, that's the current date, and then it auto fills for agency name and service area. Then you're selecting N for new or C for change, and then you're entering all the information across. Just verify that all information is entered in those yellow fields. That saves a lot of time and it doesn't delay. I mean, once we're checking the CBC and paneling handles theirs on their end, but there are staff assigned to regularly maintain the CBC or the other paneling mailbox. So as soon as we have a complete packet, we then can process it. So if you can take your steps on your end by just verifying the accuracy and the completeness, that will help the process. As well as when you're conducting the background check, the review of your caregiver background checks prior to sending them to us. There's no need to send us a background check add request if the individual has a BART offense. If you don't have the rehab review approval letter from the state, we're going to have to turn around and deny the person. So there's no need to go through the process of it. Please review them on your end, which it's in the contract requirement that agencies prior to the submission of submitting ad requests conduct a review of the background check. So please ensure that you have the tools available at your agency. The CBC policy gives you the BART offense list, the Wisconsin Caregiver Manual. Get someone at your agency should be familiar with the background check requirements, that prior to sending them to us, you provide us a complete packet, as well as if there's dispositions that are not finalized and you're reviewing the background check. And as you know, we're looking for, if it's not a BART offense, but the substantially related, you're looking back at least 5 years and you see a felony or 2 or more misdemeanors, things of that sort, and the disposition is not final, you may need to then reach out to the clerk of courts and obtain that information. Otherwise, we conduct our review and you'll be asked for that information anyways, but there are certain things you could be doing to expedite the process if you send us the complete check. All right, so just as a reminder to continue to visit our contract portal. The policies do get updated forms get updated, things of that sort. The BID gets updated. We don't have any control of when the state updates it, but the link that we provide on the portal goes right to the forms library. And again, I'm speaking of the background information disclosures, so you can obtain the most current versions. You don't want to just use or assume that what you're using is current. Visit the portal to ensure that you're using the most up-to-date version and the policies. So you have the information that's current. And then when sending us emails, because we have several shared email boxes, from the CBC mailbox to credentialing, at the impaneling side for BHS, the critical incident mailbox, the performance mailbox, please ensure that you're putting your agency name and the service area on the emails. We have certain individuals that manage those mailboxes, and especially when the information is encrypted, if we don't know and one of your staff persons is sending it to us, and we don't maybe recognize that person, we know a lot of you, and so we can recognize certain agencies, but if we don't have that, it's hard to know who is. If I'm assigned to housing, I need to know which ones I'm supposed to be managing. So please ensure that you're just including that service area. Your service areas are either ADS for aging and disabilities, children, youth and family is CYFS, or housing, and BHS. So include those, that service area, and that will help us extremely as we're managing those email boxes. And I mentioned that the last piece. Okay, and then my last slide here is about protecting and safeguarding electronic correspondence. And this is a repeat from last year, but just as a reminder, when sending us emails, any electronic correspondence, to please ensure that you are either password protecting or encrypting the documents. So again, that is a requirement for any protected health information or personally identifiable information. And then I just gave a few examples for caregiver background checks. It is required that you, if you're emailing the caregiver background check, that you either password protected or encrypt it. Critical incident forms, the same. Performance-based tools have client-related information. Service recipient records, sending us case notes if we do a DUS review, things of that sort, or prior authorizations of services. So I think that was my last slide. So if there's any questions for me, otherwise I'll pass it back to Rajna. I guess not. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So now I think the next few slides are more informational purpose. So, basically, some, common questions is like, okay, if I want to request something, which is like, we use the term open records or public records request. So different ways to get it. This is the Milwaukee County portal wherein you can go and make the public records request, not just for us, but any department. Again, you choose and, go there. If it is related to us, you can just send an email to the contract administrator, that would be Dennis, the respective contract manager or the office support assistant. So we will, if we get an email, we obviously accept and honor the records request even in any form. So we will attend to it and we'll acknowledge it, and you will, let you know the next steps. So this is just, this portal might be something new. So that's why we just wanted to bring it up. And we see these questions, constantly being asked. So we thought, like, okay, let's just, let people know how to request, a public record or make an open records request. Next one. So this one would already be there in the letter that went out to you. But again, we are putting it in the presentation. I won't go over each mailbox. These are all the different mailboxes. I know they are a lot, but then, there are all different services and, different people look at it. And that's the reason we have different mailboxes, So we have the mailbox and the purpose, like, for critical incident, this is the form. For perf, you send the tools over here. CBC is for sending the background checks. Impaneling is for DHHS. Then accounting is for revenue expense. RAP is for the BHS, POS report, for quite a lot of our submissions, they go to DHHS, including the staff roster. BHS staff roster goes to impaling again, so just look at this list. It will be helpful, when you are sending this information so that it doesn't go to the wrong mailbox, and then, it avoids delays in our response too, and avoids, things getting lost. So again, going over some of the important due dates. So what document, when they are due, we try to put it in a table format. We have been doing it for the last few years. So refer to that. It's a quick guide, kind of a quick reference, I would say. So again, we are talking about the important documents that we need and when they are due. So going over this again. So just go through this at your pace, refer to it when you have a doubt. And obviously, if you still have questions, we are always there to help and respond to you. So if you have any question, like, this could be a common thing, whom do you contact? So generally there would be a contract services coordinator who's working with you on a contract. And I know on at least on DHHS side, normally it's the same person who's contacting. So your first step could be that person. So if it is a contract related question or a billing related question or any other submission questions, right, related to staff roster, etc., you could contact the contract services coordinator. And like on my side, I am there. You could send me any inquiry you have, not just for this, but otherwise, if you have basically if any of our staff is unavailable. So, generally, and I hope, we have the out of office and, set up. So that would be the person. Otherwise, I'm there or Dennis is there. So these would be the normal chain of, command, or, the next person to, like, whom do you contact? The CPA consultant for your audit and audit waiver questions or any technical help with the budget form, quality assurance for any inquiries related to the department policies and forms, etc. So if you have any program related questions, so that we do not handle within contract administration, those need to go to the program coordinator or program manager. And so you would obviously know who you are working with as part of the program. So that's whom you would ask questions about, program related questions, or if you have any questions regarding the service delivery, provider qualification complaints or critical incidents, etc. So email list for all the people on DHHS side, Dennis, me, Kevin is taking care of CYFS, Liz is taking care of ADS and CYFS, including CLTS and BERT to 3. Then David is taking care of the housing contracts. But, this doesn't mean it's set in stone. When someone is not there, we do have backups. So you can see emails from someone else too. So this is there. And we have Diane, obviously she's leading our quality assurance. Then Linda is our quality specialist. Cindy is our office support assistant, and Suvanish is our CPA consultant. All the email IDs are listed here. Then we have all the BHS staff, email IDs listed over here. The presentation, we will post it later on our provider portal. And let me just stop sharing and see if I can. I know we promised that we'll go over the provider portal. So I'll just go over there. And in the meantime, if there are any questions, Diane, you might want to. Any questions over there or no? No?
No
Okay.
questions at the moment, but if anyone
Okay,
has some,
wonderful.
please add them to the chat.
Yep. So this is our, we continuously talk about our, contract administration provider portal. So this is the link. Everyone should have it by now. Please save it as your favorites. And like we talk about it, we have all these different area, business area, do business with DHHS. So this is the bids and RFP page we had talked about. So let me show you where it is going, kind of, just quickly, I will just run over, so this is what I was talking about, that this is maintained obviously by procurement, Milwaukee County procurement. So this has kind of any RFPs which are open. This has a smaller, kind of a little bit of more write-up. And, obviously this is not where you can go directly, but you can pick which department it is and you can get it from there. Then sign up for e-notify and the e-notify instruction sheet. So this is what you can use. Then quick forms. We have our, the forms over here. Then we have the PSA. So on audit information, we had the audit waiver request form. The billing forms are obviously for 2023 are not here yet. They will come sometime in January. Then all our policies are here, including the staff roster form. So this is the DHHS staff roster. This is a BHS staff roster, and we have all the trainings and presentations over there. Last we did the critical incident policy training, and we had the staff roster add delete. This is the training we talked about. So here's the FAQ and the training video for that. This is where you will find the training, the presentation that we did just now as well. So just quickly, we wanted to go over it. And any questions? No? If there are no more questions, means you're free to just, unmute yourself and ask the question if you have it. Otherwise, I think we'll, end this presentation now and allow you those extra 24 minutes right now.
Rachana, I'm sorry, I have a question.
Sure.
So on the slides, you guys showed that Liz was supportive of ADS and it said excluding aging. I just want to clarify because I know some people associate the word aging with the Department on Aging, even though we don't have the Department on Aging. I just wanted to clarify that that is referring to the area agency on aging, not the former Department on Aging that is now integrated with Aging and Disability Services.
Thank you.
Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Because aging is still, Kerry is looking at and we do not have any aging providers in this presentation. So they're not in the audience here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? No. If not, then thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time. And we hope this presentation was helpful to you. Have a happy new year, everyone. I don't know if we'll have any more, in-person meetings. So that's why, wishes for a great holiday season and a new year from us.
Yes, thank you for all coming out today. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you all. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Stay well. Thank you for your help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cindy, you can stop the recording.